Hi, guys. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And I'm really sorry that we had to switch the times around, but not my fault at all because MTV decided to move the show to Tuesday nights and even change the time. So because of that, I had to do a 5 o'clock show because I've already got PLL at 6. So I'm hoping, I know some of you said this worked out better for you because it was earlier. And I know it doesn't work out for everyone, and I apologize, but the good news is you can always watch this later on my channel. You can watch the entire thing if you can't make it. So I'm really sorry, but I didn't want to wait till like an extra day to do this live show because, you know, it's easy to forget kind of what happens. I wanted it to still be fresh on all of our minds. So if you were in the room and you want to shout out, go ahead and say hi. I want to say hey to Vanessa, Ollie, Ryan, Rachel, something. I know there's more people here, or they were here early. Emerson, Kingtown. Hi, Victoria. Yeah, so Victoria's in the UK, and I know that if you guys are in the UK, this is way better for you because is it like 11 p.m. there? Maybe around that time. Hi, Kay Marie. So I really enjoyed last night's episode. However, I thought that someone would die. I was kind of hoping for that. So I really feel strongly that next week someone's going to die, like someone major. Hi, Isis. And I think there was a really big clue. I don't know if you guys caught it. Some of you on Twitter DM me and asked me to explain. So some of you may already know my theory, but I feel like there was a pretty big clue in last night's episode to lead us to at least one of the killers. I still think there's probably two. So it's 10 p.m. in UK. That's great. Okay, awesome. I mean, I hope that's great for a lot of you. But anyway, so if you know what I'm talking about, let me know, and I'll give you a hint. So when Emma was attacked or almost attacked by the killer, there couldn't have been a lot of people who would have had access to her at that moment. So who do you think, I'm thinking, was the one dressed in the Brandon James mask who came and approached her in that office at the school? I agree that this teacher is shady. So the teacher who locked her in that room, I guess that's the teacher who was new, right? Because I wasn't connecting the dots last night. But she's like the new teacher who took Branson's spot. Is that right? I feel like she was shady. She's kind of low-key shady because nobody has pointed to her. They did point out some people to make them look extremely shady last night. And because of that, I think those people are in the clear. That is my opinion. I could be wrong. But I think that's kind of what they're doing. That's kind of what they did last season. If they try super hard to make someone look guilty, they even try to make Emma look guilty, then it's not going to be them. So I'm going to go read your comments and see what you guys are saying. Rachel thinks the killer is going to be a guy, and it could be Troy's cousin. Troy. Who is Troy? I've forgotten who that is already. I still think we have the big possibility that Brandon James's brother. Is that Troy? Is that who you're talking about? Brandon James's brother? Is his name Troy? I think that this person could definitely be one of the adult killers, and it could be someone we know. Rachel thinks that Emma is not the killer. Ryan is hoping that Noah or Kieran are the killers. So basically, if you remember from last night's episode, everyone was kind of busy pretty much. Now, probably not everyone in the cast, but almost everyone. Like Emma's mom was doing something with Jake's body. If you hear dogs, I apologize because I have some crazy ones in here. Most of the students were locked in the library. The sheriff was busy. Brooke was busy. Brooke's dad was busy. But one person was roaming around free, and that person was Noah. And he was trying to figure out his way back into the library, but he did not make it back into the library until after the person in the mask had approached Emma. So I very much think that he was the one who was wearing the costume. I still think it would be an awesome twist for him to be one of the killers because he's so obsessed with horror movies. No one has ever suspected him in the show so far, and I just think that would be absolutely perfect. Okay, Troy James, Brandon James. I think if I'm right here, that Brandon has a brother who owns the pig farm, and that is the place that Emma's mom was taking her as a kid. That's what she's having the flashbacks for. Is that right? Yeah, I don't think that it was a hallucination. I think that there was actually a killer because they made the phone call and everything. I think that was real when they approached her in that office. I do. Now, some of the adults may think she's gone crazy because she broke the window and everything, and they probably think she was seeing things, but I don't think so. So Mark says that Audrey said that the emergency exit in the library was open, so anyone in that library could have snuck out to attack Emma. Still thinking the killers are Zoe and Kieran. Okay, so, but it kind of made me feel like those two people were accounted for during that, but maybe we don't really have that confirmed. But because we kept seeing those two, Emma or Kieran and Zoe, in that room, but I don't know if they were in that room the exact same time as the attack was going on. Vanessa thinks maybe Miguel, the sheriff, and Kieran are working together. I personally think Miguel is such a huge red herring that it's ridiculous, because especially after him being bullied last night for his creepy drawings, which I really do think he's doing like a horror comic, and I think he's a fan of the horror genre, and I really don't think he's involved. I think it's a major distraction, because I just feel like when they are that obvious with somebody, especially this early on in the season, you gotta think that's probably not gonna be one of our killers. I'm still not completely sure the sheriff is innocent, because I am looking for an adult suspect. They really made Branson seem shady last night. Brooke basically said he killed Jake, so I'm kind of marking him off my list right now. But we will see where it goes. I see some new people in the room. Hi, Jack. Thanks for being here. Hi, Brian. Brian feels bad for Miguel when the kids started to gang up on him. I did too, because I don't feel like he threatened anyone. Yeah, I mean, he's doing some creepy things, and he probably shouldn't be doing those kind of drawings, you know, in front of everyone when they just saw someone, you know, their friend's dead body. But I think it's a huge distraction. I think he was written into the storyline as a distraction for viewers to, you know, like get really fixated on him and not pay attention to other people. I am very much still thinking Kieran is a major suspect. No one seems to think he's a suspect. Even the fact that he had a gun, that was weird. I mean, they kind of played that off. They're like, he's like, oh, it's my dad's gun, whatever. Still think that he's definitely very likely to be involved. And we may be dealing with more than two killers here, which is also a great possibility. But yeah, I mean, it's obviously someone in that school building, because they planted the phone on Emma. They, you know, attacked her. The only other idea, they didn't attack her. They almost did. The only other idea that I could have here is kind of the idea I've been telling you guys, is that we do have a killer trapped in the school who's doing stuff, but we have an outside person. I don't really know who that could be, just kind of thinking off the top of my head, because I don't know if any of the adults, I feel like everyone in the cast was in the school during last night's episode, but if there was someone that I've forgotten, let me know. Definitely funny when Haley got slapped. I think she deserved it. I think Haley is another one of those characters who is another distraction. I don't think she's going to end up being a killer. She's just someone to distract us, and someone who is not a very nice person and honestly deserved to be slapped, because she was pretty much saying that Emma could be the one, you know, doing these terrible things like killing Jake. I don't really understand now. I mean, I know a lot of you have tweeted me or commented that you think Brooke's dad could be involved, and I still think that's a possibility, because kind of clear this up for me. It seemed like that Jake had another phone on him, which had a lot of text messages between him and Brooke's dad, and I know that he had kind of been working for him and doing illegal things. So I know that there's a background there, but I feel like that was kind of important. I did not like pause it to read all the text. They were going by pretty fast, but I think that's important. Another huge thing that happened with this episode is that Noah now knows what Audrey's been up to, sort of. I mean, he saw the video from the storage facility where she was removing those Post-its off of Jake's body. So we'll have to see how that plays out with the rest of the season. There's also still a chance in my mind that Noah is just innocent and will be a person who lives through the entire series. That's just kind of what I'm thinking. I'm not, you know, like, I don't know. I mean, I know I said I was pretty sure he was a killer. I just feel like that scene where he was literally the only person that we knew of who was roaming free, who could have gotten to that office area, and then he came back literally after that attack or almost attack happened. I just kind of feel like the writers were giving a clue to people who were really paying attention. So Marty still thinks that it is Brooke, and I think that that could possibly definitely be true, especially when she's already so eager to point the finger at a killer. You know, she's like, oh, Branson did it. And honestly, Jake was a really bad boyfriend, so maybe that was her motivation to kill him. Something thinks that Noah may die based on next week's promo. So yeah, I could see that too. I don't know. Sometimes though, when they make it look like someone is going to die in the promo, they don't. That's like a red herring. But it does look like he gets attacked, so we'll see. Yeah, so Rachel thinks Brooke is innocent. I don't know, but I remember, I think it was Haley. Was it Haley or someone else saying that all of your friends are going to die? And I think that is very true. I think all of the main cast, as you have seen if you've watched the movies, everyone's going to die unless they are the killer, and then they will die after that is revealed. So, hi, Jack. The Pretty Little Liars live chat will be on at 6, and then my Pretty Little Liars recap videos always go live on Thursdays. So thank you. So if you watch MTV Scream, you can stick around, but you can come back at 6 if you want for the PLL, or you can do both. Hopefully some of you will do both. Yeah, Haley is annoying. I could definitely see her dying. I look at her as, you know, pretty much a minor character, but I think that, I really think the major characters, especially the people carrying over from last season, will definitely die. And I'm really thinking very likely that another main character will die next week. So maybe it will be Noah, or it could be Brooke. I've thought Brooke for a while now, so we will have to wait and see. Something thinks that Brooke is going to torture Branson next week. Vanessa thinks or hopes that Brooke is the killer because it would be shocking. I think it would be. I don't feel like they've given us a lot of clues to point toward her. But like I said, you know, the fact that she immediately is like, oh, I know Branson killed Jake, that was a little weird if you think about it. And also the fact that she could have had the motivation to kill him. So I don't know if she's the killer. I don't know if she was killing people last season, if she just joined on. I really don't know. Mark thinks that Branson is going to die next. Definitely could see that happening. Because I think at this point, the sheriff actually thinks that he is their main suspect. So I could see someone, the killers or the killer, killing him so that people don't think that anymore. I don't know. Okay, so I don't know how to say, is it HLT? I don't even know how to pronounce your username. So I know you've been here for PLL and everything, and I can't remember what you want me to call you. But yes, you're saying Randy, who is the equivalent of Noah, died in the second movie. So we could definitely lose Noah. And that could happen. There goes my Noah theory if that happens. Sherry thought that Brooke was going to be killed when she got into the pool at the end. I also thought that, and I actually thought that she was going to be killed in last week's episode when she was getting up on the stage. So maybe they're kind of leading us that way to the fact that she will die next week. But I also thought for a second that Brooke was going to drown herself in the pool. It was just bizarre, but she was going under to scream so that people wouldn't hear her. I get that now. Can we agree that the Lakewood Five aren't the killer? I don't agree with that. I definitely think one of them is the killer, Sabbath. But I think there's more than one killer. I don't know. I definitely still want to go with my theory that an adult is involved this season. Marty says Brooke's dad had a reason to kill Jake because he had information and videotapes of him doing bad stuff. Absolutely. There we go again with that. I mean, why I really like this show is that there are so many people who convincingly could be the killer or the killers. So it's not like one of those shows where, oh, awesome. Awesome, Sabbath. Great. It's not like one of those shows where it's like super obvious it's one person, or it ends up being somebody super lame that makes no sense, or that they just drug in like in the last few episodes or something. So Ollie thought that Branson was the killer, but not anymore. I definitely don't think he is. I thought it was sort of a possibility, but after, you know, Brooke was like, oh my God, he's definitely the killer. No, that was just way too obvious. Victoria thinks the sheriff might try to pin the murder of Jake on Brooke's dad because Brooke's dad has something on him. Now, I think that that is a really good observation, and I could definitely see that happening. They seem to have some kind of issue. I don't know if they explained it. If they did, I somehow missed it. But they have some kind of previous issue with each other. And again, I could definitely see the sheriff or even Brooke's dad being like, hey, I'm Brandon's brother, and have that reveal. I still think it's really possible that Brandon's brother is one of the adults that we know. I don't think they're going to randomly show us a brand new person and say this is Brandon's brother and he was the killer, because I just don't think that that's the way this show goes. Something says that Brooke has gone through so much. She got attacked 3 times last season. She got carried, I like that, this season, and she tried to drown herself. I'm not really certain she was trying to drown herself. Now, that's definitely what I thought when she got in the pool, but I think she wanted to kind of appear stronger than she was, and she went underwater to like scream and let all her anger out about Jake's death. That's kind of what I was thinking. So Rachel actually thinks they're making Noah too obvious, which is interesting because I feel like he's not, like, they're not trying to point the finger at him. So I don't know. And I think that's so cool because, like, I don't think any of you are like super off on your theories. And, you know, I feel like some shows, like when we get into these chats, like some people will think it's somebody and it's just like, I don't think there's any way, but they're literally, they really make it so that so many people look convincingly guilty. And I think that's what I really enjoyed about the first season and really fell in love with, because it could be like the world's cheesiest show, especially with it being like a high school drama or horror show. So, oh, you did? You screamed in the pool like that? I've never done that, but I mean, I hope you weren't having a super bad day, but I was just thinking last night that that would be kind of fun if you weren't, you know, you wanted to do that, but you weren't like doing it because your boyfriend or your, you know, was murdered. Like, you don't want to do it, you know, have to do it because of a bad reason. Sabbath wants to know which of the Lakewood Five do I think is most likely the killer, and my top two are Noah and Kieran. And just because, well, for various reasons, but I think that the show has not made them look suspicious at all. And I'm very suspicious of Kieran because he's super close to Emma. He moved there and targeted her and wanted to be her boyfriend very bad, even though she had a boyfriend, and that didn't seem to stop him or bother him. So he's always he was very suspicious to me. Like, he was on my radar last season. Noah was not, but Kieran was. I was very suspicious of him. So I still am. And I still think obviously we have another killer who was killing people from last season. And I think that's going to be revealed at the end of this season. And I think there could be possibly another new person, or maybe two more people. Rachel says the emergency exit was disarmed, so anyone could have gotten out. That's true. And Zoe said she was a huge fan of the morgue, and there were those comments that the killer was saying. Well, I thought that the show was very, like, low-key, making her look slightly suspicious for the first time in last night's episode. So the only thing about Zoe being involved is that I have zero idea what her motive is. I don't know if she's, like, obsessed with, you know, maybe she was a friend of Piper's or a relative of Piper's, or she's obsessed with like horror and serial killers or something. I don't know. But I think that it's definitely possible. And I think maybe the next to last episode this season, it could start coming out about her past, because if you think about it, we really know zero about Zoe. So I could definitely see that. I think Eli is a red herring, Julie and I agree. And I think Stavlo is probably the biggest red herring of the entire show. Sabbath says that Noah is a fan fave, so it'll be shocking if he is the killer. I agree with you. I know I'm missing some of your comments just because they fly by, so just re-comment them so I can see them. I'm not trying to skip anybody, or, I just read what I see. Brian says the sheriff found Brandon's mask in his son's room, yet he said nothing about it. Well, that is, that's true. That's a good point. Now, when I saw that mask in his son's room, I definitely felt like it was such a red herring that Sabo was definitely not the killer, and I felt like it was planted there. But I think Brian has a really good point, because I don't know, but who would he report it to, though? Because he is the sheriff, so I'm not really sure. Like, if he wasn't the sheriff, it would be kind of bizarre. But I guess he could have said something to his son, like, why do you have this mask or whatever? So, yeah, that is kind of weird. Isis thinks the sheriff might turn on the Lakewood Five, especially Audrey, because of what they did to his son. I still think that it's very, very possible that he is our adult killer, and he could also possibly be Brandon's brother or some other type of relative. I don't really know what his motive is yet, but I'm very suspicious of him. Mark says that Karen told the sheriff that Emma had Jake's phone. I know. That made me angry, and I know she was angry at him, but I probably would never talk to him again if I were her. And lots of suspicions are on her now. I think it's an obvious clue he's the killer and he's framing her. I mean, I just don't know what type of boyfriend would do that to their girlfriend. I just felt like that was super low. And I know she kind of ignored him, but like, it would be completely over for me. That was awful. Something is talking about Haley, if it being the killer, that would be dumb. I definitely don't think that she will be. Let's hope not. Anyway, is it Aiko or Aiko thinks that the teacher is the killer? I think you're talking about the killer of the woman. The teacher, the woman who took Branson's place. She was shady. Again, some of these new characters, it's difficult because, like, I don't understand their backstory, or we don't know why they would be doing this unless they're, like, relatives or something. Hi, Jessica. Thank you so much for being here. Julian says there was a shadow behind Emma, so that incident in the office or whatever that room was in the school was not a hallucination. I am 100% with you here. I do not think she was hallucinating. And actually, probably a lot of the things we've seen Emma go through, even in the woods and stuff, I think actually happened. Sabbath's wondering about the creepy teacher. Again, don't know if that's just a red herring. Don't know if that's like Piper's cousin or sister or something. Who knows? Maybe it's Brandon James's sister or whatever. Victoria says the question is who was actually close enough to Emma's bag to put Jake's phone in there? And I don't know, because I don't feel like, that was a scene that we saw. Like, we didn't see her purse sitting around. But I mean, if you think about it, who was with her and closest to her, that would be Kieran. And then Kieran turned her into the cops for having Jake's phone. So I don't know. So Brian says when Haley was being dragged out for questioning by the police, she sounded nervous when they started to check lockers. She could be a red herring, but you never know with this show. Yes, and I mean, to be honest, I am not going to be really happy even if they have several killers and some of them are good people, I mean, like important people. But if we start dragging in the brand new woman teacher, Haley, a bunch of other new people, and start saying, oh yeah, they're Brandon's cousins, sisters, daughters, whatever, I think at that point it kind of loses what makes it special. Like, I know. And I know that you guys who have seen the movies, and I don't remember, like, honestly don't remember everything that happened, like, in the second and third, because I think that was, I don't even know when. It was such a long time ago. But I think someone told me, like, in the second movie, there were randoms who were, like, the killers. So I don't even remember. And I think someone gave me their names, and I'm like, I don't even, like, that doesn't even register. I can't even see, like, what they look like in my mind. So, they could go that way. And we really can't be mad if they do, just because I like any kind of show that's going to make a tribute to the movie. And I think the show has been so great in doing that. So great in keeping Scream's legacy alive and, like, really trying to stick closely to kind of some of the things that happened without copying everything. So, I don't know. So, Vanessa thinks the teacher could be the killer because she locked the room and left. She could have gotten the costume. Well, I mean, I found it really strange that she locked her in there. Now, I don't know if that was to trick us, to be a red herring, or what. But again, personally not going to be super happy if she's like Brandon's daughter or whatever, or Piper or somebody. And it's, this is why she's doing it. That's why she wanted to get a job as a teacher there. I mean, that's lame to me. Thank you. So Mrs. Loomis was the killer and the student was Mickey. And I feel like the second Scream was just not that great, right? Was that one of the weaker ones? And you guys know I love the Scream movies. I'm not saying that they suck or it sucked, but there were definitely some that were stronger. Like, I felt like Scream 4 was just kind of funny, and I really liked all the celebrity cameos. Rachel says it's suspicious that Miguel wants Maggie, who was Emma's mom, away from the case. I can agree with you on that. I definitely agree. Watch Scream beyond season 6 in 2 years, and it'll be very famous like PLL, says something. Well, I don't know. I feel like this show is kind of like the movies. Like, I don't think we need 70,000 seasons of this show. I feel like it's hard for a horror series to be great every season, and there's some that pull it off and there's a lot that don't. So I kind of am hoping with this series it only has like 4 or 5 seasons. Rachel says this show is better than PLL. I agree. Sabit says, can we confirm Piper's accomplice is the killer? I think definitely we have a killer from last season who we know, who will be revealed, who's also killing this season. Now, I really think there's going to be more than one killer because they only went with one in some of the movies. I'm sorry, I always have this mysterious itches in my face during these things. But anyway, I think we had maybe at least 2, maybe 3 killers revealed in some of the movies. So I am thinking we're going to get 2 reveals this season, but I could be wrong, but we'll see. Ryan says the way the audience could be shocked is if Emma ends up getting killed in the finale, but doubt it. I really think they're going to go with the movies here and make her like the Neve Campbell character and make Emma be the one who survives. If no one else does, like, she's going to be the one who survive through the entire show until the show isn't around anymore. That's kind of what I think. Mark says, I think it was so good that they changed the time slot for the rest of the season. Already, this episode seemed much more popular, and I think it trended worldwide on Twitter. Now, I don't know when this show was on last season because I ended up watching it after it aired on iTunes. But I felt like it was so weird that it was airing at 11 p.m. because I don't remember any show that I watched being on so late, like that's its time slot. I thought that was so strange. And I mean, if you notice, like if you watch it live, they had the worst commercials on there, like infomercials and stuff, because like that's what that is telling you, is that companies were not paying for ads for that time slot. So I completely agree with Mark. I think the ratings must have sucked, and I never looked at them, but like they definitely thought they need to bump that to a different time slot and even a different day to get more people watching, because I know 11 isn't super late, but it is for some people who work or have school or whatever. So that's just, it's like an hour show. So that's too late. So Isis says, if the sheriff is Brandon James's brother, that makes Gustavo Emma's cousin. Wouldn't Emma remember him, or Daisy? Well, as far as Emma, I don't know if she would remember him because they may not have seen each other since they were kids, but maybe they never really saw each other because she doesn't have great memories of Brandon's brother. As far as Daisy, I would definitely think she would remember, especially if he was Brandon's brother. But I don't know. And some people are suspicious with her. Tassie is liking this more than Pretty Little Liars. Yeah, I think that if you guys haven't watched a lot of other series outside of PLL, you'll find out, especially if you look at the stuff that I watch on my channel, that there's a lot of really good mystery shows, and a lot of them are much better done on the PLL. That's just being completely honest. So if you ever want new suggestions, check out the shows that I'm following, because they're all, pretty much all of them are mysteries where you're trying to figure things out, figure out who the killer is, etc. Something watched a sneak peek of Scream last week and someone's face was burning. It looked like the sheriff or Branson. So that's interesting. When they kill people on this show, they go all in, so they don't just shoot someone or stab someone, like Jake, Seth, and everything. Very gory. Yeah, The Family was an awesome show, and it was canceled. And I don't know. I haven't heard anything. I'm hoping it'll come back, but I don't know. And How to Get Away with Murder is probably the best of the shows that's still on, but we've had a few seasons now. Wait, who is Seth? Ryan thinks for this season finale, the location where the killer is revealed will be the barn, like the dock. I think that's a really, really good guess, because we can go back around to that Troy James storyline, especially if Troy James is the killer, or if we can link it back to that, if it's another relative or something like that. Yeah, I think Scream is good so far, Julian, and I think it's still very new. So I think so far I don't have worries that it's going to start sucking anytime soon. But sometimes when shows are around for like seasons and seasons and seasons, they do start getting bad. So we'll see. Mark says Daisy literally has millions of secrets and doesn't think it's important to tell them to Emma. No wonder Emma keeps getting in trouble. Yeah, I mean, she is kind of shady, but I don't know, again, if that's just something to kind of mess with us, or if I really would hate to think she's doing terrible things and traumatizing her daughter. Like, that would just really bother me if she's involved, or she's actually killing people or covering up for them or whatever. I just think that's awful. Emma's dad was not in this episode, Marty, but Marty thinks he could be the killer, or that he will die, or maybe both. I don't know, but he's kind of suspicious. I don't know what his motivation would be, but I don't know what a lot of these people's motivations would be. Aiko says on Scream episode 6 promo, it shows Seth is about to get stabbed by Brooke. Oh, Seth is Branson. Sorry. I just always call him Branson. So Seth was like, who the heck is that? Okay. Yeah. Well, that's interesting. And then sometimes I think when you see these like previews, you don't know, like, is that really happening, or is that someone's hallucination, or what? Because we do have some dreams and hallucinations in this show. Do I think Noah will turn on Audrey now that he knows her secret? Asked William. I think that's a great question. I don't know, but that's a pretty freaking big secret. So I don't know if he's going to approach her about it, or if he's going to pretend like he's just going to ignore it and never mention it, or what. So Rachel says some people are thinking Branson's the killer, which I think is a little too easy, but I don't know. Mark thinks that Jake is probably still alive and his body was an Uber A doll wearing a mask. I'm sure. I feel like everyone who died in the show is definitely still alive. And maybe they're playing other people. Like maybe Emma's dead, but someone's walking around with her mask. And I'm totally joking, but if you watch Pretty Little Liars, then you will understand. And something says, hope they stop with the hallucinations. I agree with you. I don't really like that part of this season. Just want to say quickly that if you are just now seeing me for the first time, I would love for you to subscribe to my channel because I pretty much only do mystery shows and theorize with you guys. And I'm doing all of Scream Season 2 and whatever seasons they have after that. And of course, I'm doing Pretty Little Liars, which many of you know, but maybe you don't know. Maybe you watch that show. But I do other shows after these seasons, and like How to Get Away with Murder, and don't even remember at this point, but they're pretty much all mysteries, Orphan Black, things like that. So thank you so much for being a part of this, and I would like for you to subscribe if you are interested in those types of shows, and also to thumbs up this video. So our time is about up. Alex, hi, thank you for being here. We started like 30 minutes ago, just because I have another show coming up at 6. But if we have any new comments or new theories, I can read a couple more quickly. And just to let you know, if this is your first time here, these chats always show up on my channel like 5 minutes after we're finished, and the entire chat shows up and stays up there. So if you thought of something, or you joined late or whatever, and you have a question or a theory, I can always reply to your comment because it doesn't go away. These comments actually, I think, go away, but on the show when it shows up, it's all good. Rachel thinks that Audrey has a split personality. Marty, thank you. Thanks for being here. I hope to see you again next week. Julian says Noah tells Emma about Audrey's secret in the next episodes. Oh, okay. That looks really interesting. And I don't know where Eli went for the second half of the episode. I have no idea. But anyway, I just want to thank you guys so much for being here. Again, if there's something you wanted to say or you said it and I skipped it because the comments sometimes fly by, please do that when the show shows up on my channel in like 5 minutes. I could definitely see Audrey dying this season, Ryan. I completely agree with you. So this will be the time for the rest of the season for this show. So 5 p.m. Eastern. On Wednesdays will be my live chat for MTV Scream. We have to move it to that because this show moved. So I'm hoping it worked for you. If it didn't, you can always watch this show on my channel. But thank you so much for being here. And hope to see all of you again next week. And I hope to see most of you or all of you at my Pretty Little Liars chat tonight in 30 minutes or less than 30 minutes. Just come back and click on that video and we'll be here for a PLL chat. So see you very soon, guys. Bye.